But even if the U.S. or its allies manage to take out a top terrorist leader, isn't there just always someone in line ready and willing to step in and pick up where the previous mastermind left off? Let's discuss that now with David Gartenstein-Ross. He's the director of the Center for the Study of Terrorist Radicalization. David, let's get a better idea of who this enemy is. Let's start with Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, the head of ISIS. What exactly do we know about him? He was at one point in U.S. custody in Iraq, right?
That's correct. He was in the Bucca prison. Born in 1971, he is believed to have received his Ph.D. in Islamic Studies in Baghdad. He was part of the insurgency, originally part of a small insurgent organization before joining ISIS's predecessor. It's gone through a number of different names, but his insurgent group folded into it. He joined its basically Sharia committee before being elevated in rank and took over leadership of ISIS in 2010. He had to rebuild the organization after it had been devastated by the surge U.S. forces and the Sahwa, or the awakening.
Now, I heard somebody on National Public Radio this morning discussing the number two. His name is Abu Umar al-Shishani, a Chechen native. This expert said, and I know your reporting is not necessarily the same, but this expert said that when he was in Chechnya, he had been trained by the United States in counterterrorism. What can you tell us about him?
Well, he's Chechen in origin, but he was actually born in Georgia, and he fought for the Georgian military. He was involved in 2008 when Russia invaded Georgia. It's certainly possible that he got U.S. training at some point. I couldn't substantiate that, but he was part of that military. Ultimately, he had some health problems, left, and then cropped up in some major battles in Syria and now in Iraq. It's not clear that he's quite as extreme as Baghdadi. I mean, Baghdadi has been encouraging his forces to undertake a great deal of atrocities, and Shishani is not known to necessarily fall into that extraordinarily extreme camp.
And lastly, tell us about the guy from al-Shabaab that the Pentagon just today confirmed the U.S. and allies did kill earlier this week. Who was he, and what happens next with al-Shabaab?
Ghadani, who's also known as Abu Zubair, had been a very contentious leader within al-Shabaab. There were a number of different squabbles within the organization. For example, one prominent one was against another Shabaab leader named Mukhtar Robo. But Ghadani had basically used Shabaab's internal intelligence basically as his own private secret police. And very recently, even late August, you had a high-level leader within Shabaab publicly accusing him of being a Western intelligence agent. Now, when he was in Somalia for this meeting, it was a meeting that was looking specifically at the impact of an African Union offensive, which was trying to take back territory in southern Somalia from Shabaab. There were other top leaders around him. It's not clear who all died, but it could be, look, both ISIS and Shabaab are a little bit more prone to perhaps being fractured by losing leadership.
All right, David, thank you so much. Really appreciate your expertise.